AIQchat.com is a revision platform that me and my partner built for you guys studying OCR A, and I'm going to show you how it works today. So up here you can see a calendar. Now it's been a while since I've done a assignment, and so therefore you can see I have a green dot here. You can see that I've only been looking at module 2, and I've only actually covered 9 questions to do with nucleic acids and nucleotides. So how are we going to do this? Well, what you would do is you would come down and you would create an assignment. Now, depending on what it is you want to do you want to do module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, or module 6? Now, if I am wanting to just have a random set of questions, I would just click create assignment. Or I can actually specifically say, right, I want to do just excretion. Or I want to look at hormonal communication and just do blood glucose concentration. So it really just depends what you want to do. You want to do some module 5, you want to do some module 4. It's up to you, but there's lots of drop down boxes that show you the topic areas that you can answer questions on. And that is all available under the paid subscription. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go for all of them. Let's see what it gives me. So what's going to happen is, as you can see here, I now have 10 questions. What I now need to do is click on the little answer the questions button. And now I have my first question. So what is the main source of nitrogen gas for nitrogen fixing bacteria? Well, the main source for the nitrogen gas isn't the plants, isn't water, isn't soil, it's the atmosphere. So when I click on that, it's going to tell me, oh yes, I was correct. So now let's have a look at the next question. Which hormone is involved in the closing of stomata during plant defense? Oh, interesting. So closing of stomata, is that auxin? Well, auxin is to do with cell elongation. Gibberellin is to do with stem elongation. Abscisic acid is to do with the closing of the stomata with regards to water stress. Cytokinins, I can't really remember what they are for. I think it's abscisic acid. Shall we see? So I click it. Oh, look, I am right. It's to do with the closing of the stomata. But I wasn't too sure about the cytokinin, so that's something I need to double check on. Right, what is triose phosphate? TP primarily used for within a cell. Okay, triose phosphate, is it for synthesis of protein? Is it synthesis of carbohydrates, lipids, and amino acids? Is it for the production of ATP? Or is it for RUBP fixation? RUBP fixation, isn't that carbon dioxide? So it would be carbon dioxide would be used for RUBP fixation. Production of ATP, well, that's the light dependent reaction. Synthesis of proteins, well, to make proteins, I need amino acids. Amino acids can be produced from triose phosphate. So I think it's B. Oh, look at that. I've got it right. Great. Okay. Relay neurons are primarily responsible for initiating nerve impulse. Well, that's the receptors. Transmitting impulses directly to muscles. That's the motor neurons. Connecting sensory and motor neurons, or serving as structural support for neurons. Oh, I definitely think it's connecting sensory and motor. Oh, look at this. Woo-hoo-hoo. I'm doing really well. Okay, yes. Whoa, can I get 100%? What is the purpose of the DNA polymerase enzyme in the PCR process? Right. So, what is the purpose of DNA polymerase? DNA polymerase is about joining together my nucleotides with their phosphodiester bonds in the process of PCR. So, to find the promoter sequence of a gene, to separate the DNA strand, to identify individuals in forensic analysis, and to create new copies of DNA. Ooh. It's not to separate the DNA strand, because separation of the DNA strand would be the denaturation, which is why we raise the temperature up in the PCR process. To identify individuals in forensic analysis, that would be gel electrophoresis and creating a DNA profiling. So it's not B and it's not C. to create new copies of the DNA or to find the promoter sequence. Ooh. So DNA polymerase builds the strand. I'm going to say that one. Woohoo! I got it right. So let's go back to the assignments then and see what has actually happened. Oh, look. Now you can see that my progress wheel has actually changed. I've now got more than just module 2. And that's because it's going to track how many questions I did and what I did. So I've got them all right. So you can see they're green. Now, the darker the green, the better your knowledge of that topic area and the more questions you've done. So I've done 9 questions here. I've only done 1 here. I've done 1 here. I've done 1 here. But that was, oh, look, and I've got obviously module 6, and you can see now grey means I've not done any of the questions. So let's have a shot at a module 6 and let's see what happens. So again, I created the assignment. I'm answering 10 questions. Now, I would say 1 assignment a day is a good one, but I want to show you where you actually get the benefit from using the website that we created. So let's go through the question. What enzyme is joined? Let's try that again. And this is one of the things I do a lot. My reading isn't quite up to scratch, that I skim read and therefore I piece together what I think is said. So it's important you take the time when reading the questions. It's not just to click the button in, ooh, look, I got it right, or oh, I got it wrong, and moving on. It's really important to take the time to decipher what's actually in the question. So, what enzyme is used to join separate DNA fragments as part of the process of cloning? Joining separate DNA fragments. Helicase breaks the hydrogen bonds. DNA ligase joins fragments. Restriction enzymes is for breaking the DNA specific recognition sites, and polymerase is for building. So I would say it's DNA ligase. Great. How do farmers increase the efficiency of biomass transfer in livestock? Okay, by limiting movement and controlling temperature, by keeping animals in small spaces, by ensuring natural habitat, by providing abundant food. So if I'm providing abundant food, they're going to be growing more. If I'm keeping them in the natural habitat, I'm not controlling any conditions. So I don't think it's C. By keeping them in small spaces, reduces their movement and therefore would increase the biomass. I think it's that one. Oh no, I got it wrong. It's not correct. Shall we talk it through? Let's go and see what it has to say. So the whole process in this is that you get to do the assignments, you do the questions, and if you get it wrong, this is where the AI tutor comes in. So interesting choice. Let's explore that a bit. Why do you think keeping animals in small spaces might increase the efficiency of biomass transfer in livestock? What do you understand about biomass transfer? What do I understand about biomass transfer? So biomass transfer is the transfer of energy through the food chain. Great, you're on the right tracks. Biomass transfer does involve the transfer of energy through the food chain. Now, when we talk about increasing the efficiency of this transfer in livestock, what do you think might be some factors that could affect how much energy is retained by the animals? For example, how might an animal's movement or temperature of their environment play a role? Well, more movement will increase their respiration rate and therefore decrease the biomass, hence me thinking about the small space. Oh, crumbs, I can't even spell there, small space. Okay, let's have a look. Exactly, you've touched an important point. When animals move more, they use more energy for respiration, which can indeed decrease the amount of energy available for growth or biomass. So limiting movement can help conserve energy for growth. Now, considering temperature, how do you think the environment's temperature might affect? So temperature is to do with kinetic energy, because I know that. Kinetic energy. So therefore, if I've got less movement, I would have less heat being released. You're thinking along the right lines. Temperature does indeed relate to energy in terms of livestock. If the environment is too cold, animals might use more energy to maintain their body temperature. Oh, of course, because they're endotherms. Ah, okay. Conversely, if it's too hot, they might also expend energy trying to cool themselves down. Oh, yes, because if they are going to cool themselves down, they would therefore need to contract muscles to cause dilation. Ah, I didn't even think about that. Okay, so considering both movement and temperature, well, we'd need to control the temperature. So the farmer could control the temperature, as well as movement. So it must be A then, wasn't it? So it must be A. Exactly, by controlling both movement and temperature. Perfect, nice. Now if I go back and I come to the bottom, I can see that this has now changed a color to show that I've had a chat, but I can go back and chat with it. Source. What type of vector is most commonly used to deliver genetic material into cells as part of gene therapy? Ooh, what type of vector is most commonly used? Non-viral vector, viral vector, autologous vector, retrovirus. I have no idea what some of these are. Interesting. I know the answer is viral vector, but I'm actually a bit intrigued by the autologous vector and the retrovirus. So I'm going to take the hit here and I'm going to say, I don't know. Let's explore the topic together. We can talk about gene therapy. We're discussing methods to deliver genetic material into cells to treat diseases. Can you think of any reasons why scientists might choose to use a virus to deliver genetic material into the cells? And what characteristics do viruses have that might make them suitable for the task? I know that viruses use host cells biochemistry to make copies of themselves. So that makes sense, but I don't know. Oh, crumbs. About the, I'm really bad at typing, about the other ones. Great observation. Ah, look, it's giving me information. If you're like me and you want to know a bit more, now it doesn't mean it necessarily is important for your specification. So there are questions in here that are just to prime you to know things like it's the viral vector that you're going to use, or you could use a liposome. But sometimes you may want to learn a little bit more. I like to learn a little bit more, so we've kept these questions in there for you. So viruses have a natural ability to enter cells and deliver their genetic material, which is why they can be useful in gene therapy. Let's consider the other options. Non-viral vector, these are methods that don't use viruses. They might include things like liposomes or nanoparticles. What do you think scientists might want to use non-viral methods instead of viral ones? Autologous vector, this term isn't typically used in the context of gene therapy. Vectors autologous generally refers to cells or tissues obtained from the same individual. Can you think of why using a patient's own cells might be beneficial in medical treatments? And retroviral vector, this is a specific type of viral vector. Retroviruses are a group of viruses that can integrate their genetic material into the host cell's DNA. Why might integrating genetic material into the host DNA be both an advantage and a potential risk? So what you can see here is the AI Biology Tutor is going to be asking you questions. It's about you thinking through the answers. It's not about you just being told what it is. Now, I don't need to know any more about this. I'm not going to answer the questions because it's not relevant for my revision. So I just wanted to know what they were. It's told me what they are now. I'm now going to go back. It's not going to affect me, but it is going to show that I've had the conversation there. and it is going to show me that I have had the conversation here, and I have now finished, and I can go back and I can see that my wheels are changing. And oh, look, there was one that's gone orange now because I didn't do so well on that. I got one wrong. Now, that's not a bad number because it's only one. However, it shows that I maybe need to do a few more of those. So, what I would say is if you are interested, then why not check out AIQchat.com? It is a revision platform. It is £5.99 a month. You can try it for 7 days for free and see if it helps you by monitoring where you're actually able to do well in the questions and where you need to practice on it. So focusing on the bits you don't know and doing it little and often. I'd say one assignment a day is more than enough if you do it. So some of my students who have used it will do just before they have an assessment, they will do a whole load of questions just on that topic area, and that therefore will keep it fresh in their head. So when they're going into the exam, they've filled their brain full of the knowledge, they've asked the questions of the bits they don't understand, and therefore they are able to apply it to the questions. So why not check it out? I hope you find it useful, and thank you for watching.